Welcome to Dark Knight Films Reviews. I'm your host, Matt Spease, and today we are looking at Rasputin, the Mad Monk, released in 1966. Rasputin the Mad Monk was directed by Don Sharp and stars Christopher Lee, Barbara Shelley, Suzan Farmer, Francis Matthews, Richard Pasco, Renee Asherson, and Joss Ackland. This film was written by Anthony Hinds, and the film was shot, as I said in my previous review for Dracula, Prince of Darkness. It was shot back-to-back with that film. As I said in that review, Terence Fisher directed Dracula, Prince of Darkness. Don Sharp directed Rasputin the Mad Monk. But the connections those two films have is the four leads in the film and the sets they used. Christopher Lee, Barbara Shelley, Francis Matthews, and Suzan Farmer are all in this film, and they use the exact same sets that they used for Dracula, Prince of Darkness. This film does not have as iconic of a score as what Dracula had. The composer on this one was Don Banks, and he does a really good score. I mean, I'm not saying it's not good, but I don't think it's as good as Dracula's. The star of this movie is, of course, Christopher Lee as Rasputin. It's one of his best roles he ever did, in my opinion. He has really strong supporting roles, of course, alongside his leading lady from the previous film, Dracula, Prince of Darkness, with Barbara Shelley, and then of course he has Suzan Farmer and Francis Matthews joining him alongside a new actor in this film that wasn't in the previous film, with Richard Pasco as Dr. Zargo. Dr. Zargo is a character that Rasputin meets fairly early in the story, and they have sort of a mutual agreement, and they start actually working together. Zargo's letting him stay at his place and everything, and eventually they come across Sonia and her brother Vanessa and her brother Ivan. And when Rasputin does this dance, this outrageous dance, Sonia just begins laughing uncontrollably. He uses this moment to angrily walk over to her and command her to apologize to him. So she stands up almost as if he's got her under his control and apologizes. And then he tells her that she will come to him later. And she does. They have a sexy sexual interlude with the two of them, which leads to the next day, Rasputin waking up next to her and using his hypnotic charms to place Sonia under his control completely.
Think only of me. You will listen to what I tell you. Listen and obey.
In which he plans to use her to get close to the Tsarina, because Sonia and Vanessa are her two ladies in waiting. So once she is under his control, he makes her do some things to get close to the Czarina and make the Czarina start to trust him. And eventually, he ends up using his hypnotic charms on the Czarina herself and her son, Alexei. Once the Czarina is under Rasputin's control, he orders her to make Dr. Zargo her permanent physician, which, he's helping Dr. Zargo out because Dr. Zargo let him stay in his place. So he's returning the favor. So it plays him in negative ways, but then there's moments in there where he's actually doing what looks like he's trying to help someone who helped him. But the scene with, I mentioned this in the previous review of Dracula, Prince of Darkness. The scene with Sonia is the second best scene of its kind, where a villain is mind controlling their victim and placing them totally under their control and using them to get what they want. The number one ahead of this movie is a similar scene in the film The Devil Rides Out. And of course, number three after this film is the one I mentioned in my previous review with Suzan Farmer in Dracula, Prince of Darkness. I will eventually get around to reviewing The Devil Rides Out as well, because these are three of my favorites of the Hammer films of all time. But unfortunately, Rasputin has his eyes on Vanessa, Suzan Farmer's character. But after Sonia kind of rebels against him when she finds out that he is just using her, she tries to kill Rasputin, and then Rasputin places her back under his control and forces her to kill herself, which angers Sonia's brother, and he goes out for revenge. And of course, Peter is dispatched in a very gruesome way with some acid later. After that, Ivan and Dr. Zargo team together to try and trick Rasputin into thinking Rasputin can have Vanessa. And at this point, they try to kill Rasputin. Poisoning doesn't work. And then, instead of stabbing him, like happened in real life, to Rasputin, they have Zargo get stabbed instead. And then, in a big struggle between Rasputin and Ivan, Francis Matthews' character, Ivan tosses Rasputin out the window and kills him. It's kind of anticlimactic, the ending is, but due to the fact that Dracula, Prince of Darkness, took the actual demise of Rasputin and gave it to Dracula in that film, that is how Rasputin, in real life history, if you read history, that is how he really died. And it didn't get there easy either, because, as this film portrays, he was poisoned, apparently. It did not kill him. They tried to stab him. That did not kill him. They shot him. That did not kill him. He still tried to escape. They shot him again, and then they beat him brutally, and he still wasn't dead. So they tied his body up while he's still alive, and they tossed him into the frozen river. When they found his body later on, they realized that he had died from drowning. None of the other stuff killed him. It was the drowning that killed him. Far cry from what they portray in this film as, him being poisoned and then stabbing Zargo and then just being tossed out a window and killed. He's still tough, not near as tough as the real life Rasputin was. There are interviews and everything with Don Sharp where he ended up saying that Christopher Lee and Francis Matthews as Rasputin and Ivan Schott, there was more footage to their fight and more to it. So, could have been he might have been stabbed and he might have been shot before he was tossed out the window. But those parts were apparently cut from the film, which I'd love to see these. If this footage could possibly be still available, which highly unlikely with a 1966 film, but if it was, I would love to see Rasputin the Mad Monk reinstated with the original final fight that Don Sharp talked about in the interview. But yeah, this film, it is, like I said, it's one of my favorites out of the Hammer films, out of all their films, because I mean they did hundreds of films. But these three, between Rasputin, Devil Rides Out, and Dracula, Prince of Darkness, are my three favorites out of those. Rasputin the Mad Monk is a movie that it's not like a lot of other Hammer films. It's more of a dramatic film that just has horrific elements to it. And it works really well. So if you don't like horror, but you like dramatic, tension-filled dramatic films, then you will probably like this film. I give this film an 8.5 out of 10. It is not quite as good as Dracula, Prince of Darkness. But the scene with Sonia and Rasputin, in which Christopher Lee, hypnotizes Barbara Shelley, is better than the scene in Dracula, Prince of Darkness between Christopher Lee and Suzan Farmer. Not by a lot, but it still edges it out. So, if you have liked my review, say so below. If you have any comments or anything, let me know. But if you like this review, please like, share, and subscribe, because it really does help my channel out a lot. And I hope you've enjoyed my review of Rasputin, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.